Ben Diver is joining us now. He's the founder and president of AfghanEvac. And Sean, your organization has helped relocate 195,000 Afghan allies since the U.S. withdrawal in 2021. How many people do you know of right now who have gotten letters like this one?
Well, we know that thousands of folks who used CBP-1 to legally cross the border received these messages, and in fact, many who weren't supposed to receive them, many who came here through Operation Allies Welcome, received them erroneously. We actually don't know how they're messing this up, but we know that they are, in fact, messing up the filter on who they're sending these emails to. In fact, today they filed a response to Doe versus Nome that said as much.
The Department of Homeland Security decided in March that Afghans fleeing the Taliban no longer met the requirements for temporary protected status. A senior DHS official said in a statement, to be clear, if you are an alien, being in the United States is a privilege, not a right. We are acting in the best interest of the country and enforcing the law accordingly, unquote. Is it the Trump administration's assessment that conditions have improved in Afghanistan? Is that accurate?
Well, it's certainly not accurate, but it seems like the Trump administration must believe that the conditions have changed, because that's the only way that you would take away temporary protected status, which is for people who cannot go back. They're in danger. And I'm here to tell you, if you're an Afghan woman, if you're somebody who is here because we brought you here, or if you're somebody who has any sort of relationship with the United States government, things are not better for you in Afghanistan. In fact, we know that things have only gotten worse in the 3.5 years since the chaotic withdrawal. And it just seems really unconscionable to pull the rug out from folks that we made a promise to stand behind.
So what happens to these individuals if these Afghan Christians are told by the Trump administration, as they are being told right now, you have to leave? Where do they go? Do they end up in Afghanistan? If they end up in Afghanistan, what happens to them?
Sure. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now, right? They're terminating parole. They're letting TPS expire. They're not flying people here from Afghanistan. And in every single case of an Afghan that would have to go back to Afghanistan, they're in real danger. They're in serious danger. Now, it would be against international law for us to send them back to Afghanistan because it is a dangerous place for them. Now, if past is prologue, which we can trust in most administrations, then it would take 6 months. They'd have 6 months to get their affairs in order. They might request asylum or some other thing. But as we've seen, this administration is moving really fast to break things with DOGE and other mechanisms. When they realize they've messed up, they move less fast to fix those things. So the number one thing that folks who are impacted by this order need to know is that they need to get in touch with an immigration attorney. And they can go to AfghanEvac.org/resources to look up an immigration attorney. In many cases, they can get pro bono representation. If you're not impacted by this and you're an American who cares about this, what you can do is go to AfghanEvac.org/letter-2-reps, and you can write to your representative and say, hey, we even have a draft letter there. Hey, this has to stop. These folks deserve some bit of stability. We owe it to them at the very least.
Right. I mean, this is the point, is that these were people who helped us, right? I mean, they helped the United States, and that's why they're here. That, and also fleeing the persecution at the hands of these Islamist extremists who run the country and won't even let girls or women learn.
That's exactly right, Jake. And look, here's what happened. A lot of these folks, Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, Mike Waltz, Stephen Miller, all these folks that are currently in power, they had a lot to say about the chaotic withdrawal, just like myself and many of my colleagues at AfghanEvac, about how bad it was being messed up in August of 2021, right? We saw the images of people falling off the planes. What they should be doing now is fixing it, making it faster, smarter, and better. And during Welcome, the policy that the Biden administration worked with AfghanEvac and others to build represents the first time in our history that our wartime allies are being stood with and getting the delivery on the promises we made to them. So it seems pretty hypocritical that President Trump would mention it at every debate, that it would come up every day at the RNC, that they would march the Abogate families out onto the stage at the RNC. And now what we thought was inadvertent consequences of executive orders is now looking like a strategy to throw our allies under the bus. And it's just unconscionable. I know that veterans all over this country are really pissed off about it. And so is Congress.
Sean Van Diver, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Coming up next.